Welcome back. Today I'd like to talk to you about self-awareness. Now, sometimes when you hear this phrase, you think of something like a monk meditating on a mountaintop, impervious to any thoughts or feelings, but that really couldn't be anything further from the truth. Self-awareness seems like something that would be really logical, something that's available to everyone. We all have thoughts, we all have feelings, and we all reflect on them. But self-awareness is a little bit different. Self-awareness is the realization that you can have the thought without becoming the thought. And to get us started, I'd like to do a little exercise, one that worked very well for me. So I'm asked a question. I'd like you to either repeat it in your head or say it out loud, and then we'll pause for a moment. So the question is, I wonder what I'll think of next. That's it. How long did it take before something appeared in your mind? Was it right away? Did it take a moment? Was there a perception that something was being watched? Did you wonder if you were doing it right or doing it wrong? Did you say this is stupid? Did you think about what you got to do today and immediately rushed off to whatever problems or plans you're having? Whatever you do, there is no right or wrong answer. It's all correct. The key point is that you were the one watching, that you were aware of the stuff that was arising. Because the mind is always going to try and attach a story. It's what it does. It's a story-making machine. I'll give you an example. What if I told you that when we did that exercise, I didn't have any thoughts? I have no inner monologue. Even right now, there's nothing going on in my head. What would you say to that? Would you say that's amazing? Would you say you don't believe me? Would you say, how do I do that? Am I doing it wrong? What would you say? Because it's all going to be coming from your own story, through your own experiences. Whether I'm lying or not doesn't matter. All I did was give you a little piece of data, and now you've created an entire story. And this happens in everything in life. The mind will create a story. So the next thing is to realize that you are not the story that arises, that these thoughts and emotions that are arising are more like weather passing through, the weather patterns. Just like the sky can be blue, bright, sunny, it can have light, wispy clouds going through, or it can have big, dark, brooding thunder clouds. But it's all just moving through. It's weather. Though sometimes we like to go out there and, like SpongeBob with our jellyfish net, and try and grab onto it and hold on to that storm and then put our heads up in it and live in it. I am anger. I am angry. No, there's a feeling of anger arising in your body. It's a state. Anger is arising. I'm afraid. No, the feeling of fear is rising up in your body. The chemical cocktail that is produced, you have associated with what you call fear. It's a state, and states are transient. They move. You move through them, again, like weather. So the key becomes to realize that you are not the story. You are not the weather. You are the one noticing it arising up within you. And sometimes we lose that. Sometimes we slip. Sometimes we get lost in it. I'm sure you've had maybe days or weeks where you were kind of spiraling out of control. In the Gospel of Zero, we call this defense mode. It's where you speak in absolutes. Everything sucks. Nothing's good. This is wrong. This will never get better. And when you get into that extreme defense mode right there, where it feels like everything is out to get you, we call that blind fury defense mode, or BFDM, because everything is a big effing deal, man. But it's not us. It's the suit taking over. It's old defensive patterns. You can't hurt me if I hurt you first. You can't leave me if I leave you first. You can't reject me if I reject you first. Think of it like Iron Man. Tony Stark is the one in the suit, but his AI Jarvis is the one piloting it. And so imagine that Tony falls asleep and that AI just takes over, starts attacking everyone, doing all these things that are pretty bad for Tony, but he's asleep. It's just acting, and it's doing things that it thinks is helping him. It's based off of this programming stuff that worked before, worked when he was younger, but now it doesn't really serve him. And this is often when people say, I got taken over, I wasn't thinking, I was just reacting. The spirits took me over, the demons. This is what they're talking about. People often call it falling asleep, going unconscious. It's where this suit just takes over and you're just operating out of pure response. And so what we need to do is have that self-awareness to pull ourselves back and truly look at it. Look at what's going on. And sometimes when you spiral, it can go on for days, weeks, months. You can get lost in it. You get trapped in that weather. Your head's up in the clouds and it just only looks like gray sky as far as you can see. And eventually you can pull yourself out of it and you go, whoa, what was going on there? I lost myself. I can't believe I got taken like that. That was wild. And over time, it gets a little bit quicker and quicker. Instead of being lost for weeks, maybe it's a couple days. You get in a fight with your partner, and after a couple days where you realize that you were hurt for some reason and now you're taking it out on them, and instead of communicating it, you just went quiet or ignored them or became angry, and you pull yourself back and you're like, I don't know what happened to me. I am sorry. I lost myself. I was trapped in the fog. I'm so sorry. And that's the next step, is just to have it be a little bit quicker acknowledgement each time, that recognition, a little bit quicker, a little bit quicker. And then eventually you reach a point where you're witnessing it while it's happening. I tried to record this the other day, and no matter what I did, it was like there's people in the hallway, there was sounds outside, and over I was getting interrupted and I was getting very frustrated. And then I just had to laugh because it was a lesson in real time. It was like, yes, there's frustration rising up in the body. Yes, this is unfortunate. The control part of me wants to do it now, and I'm annoyed that I can't do it. And that feeling of annoyance, that feeling of frustration, that feeling of control is rising up in the body. But I can watch it. I don't have to feed it. I don't have to say, well, screw them for leaving right now. Why can't they be quieter? Why are they doing this to me? It's not an attack on me. It's just what's happening. And so as I went to record it, in the moment, it became a powerful teaching tool, a lesson. And that's an important distinction, is to understand that every activation is an invitation. That's a huge one. If you feel something causes you to get upset or to make you tense up, investigate it. Maybe it's something that disgusts you. What is the lesson in there? I'll give you a real world one. Sometimes when I used to see like obese people, I'd be like, oh, they're so gross. Why are they doing that? Why are they so slovenly? But when I really investigated it, I understood that I was a husky kid and I'd been overweight for a lot of my life. I probably still am a bit overweight. And it was just a rejection of myself, like some of that deep-seated shame within myself. That's what it was. That's all it was. And so I had to be honest that it had nothing to do with them and everything to do with me. That was the real invitation, is this was all about me and had nothing to do with them. And that's the goal of self-awareness. It's to reflect on where your patterns come from, not just watching the weather, but eventually pulling back and saying, well, what am I supposed to learn from this? What is this trying to teach me? So if we talk about the concept of returning to zero, it's like bouncing on a trampoline. First few times, you're going to keep bouncing higher and a little bit less, a little bit less. And gradually you return to this baseline. It's not to say you're not going to get activated. It's not going to say that you're going to be impervious or immune to life that happens. But we get a little bit better each time. And it takes time. It's part of the process. Now, an important thing is, don't use awareness to beat yourself up. Don't say, oh, I should be further along. Why am I here right now? Why am I doing this? Why did I spiral for so long? I'm terrible. Don't beat yourself up using that you should be more aware. Because awareness itself, presence itself, is very kind. It would sit with you like a wise elder sitting with a child and say, of course, you had a hard week. You didn't sleep enough. Your hormones are out of balance. It's understandable that you're at this point. Now, that doesn't mean that you're still not responsible for your actions, but there's an empathy behind awareness. It's not going to judge you, critique you, or push you down. So if you take nothing else from today, just remember that every activation is an invitation. And every return is just a part of the practice. And then eventually, you can stop living as the storm and start remembering the sky. So with that said, be kind to yourself. And I'll talk to you again soon.